So our system is an video to MP3 converter. So I have a gateway. This is all in Kubernetes and Docker. So there is a gateway that communicates to auth to both directions, and then auth is going to the auth Okay. So any application will need auth, right? So that's the one flow. So that flow. So if we want to check the flow, so what I'm doing here is I'm making a curl call to MP3 converter, which is basically nothing but I have a hosts file that has MP3 converter is nothing but localhost, and RabbitMQ manager also in localhost. So here, when we make this call, it will give us a JWT token, as you see. So we copy the token, and that is the auth service that you see here, right? And it is going to this DB. Auth DB. So here, if you see, we have this email and password that I passed here. So that's why it is able to get the, and this is the service, microservice, auth service. Right? So if you want to see, let's see the, if you want to see what all services I have, auth will be there. One service is auth. Get part from auth. So here, if you see auth is there, I have scaled down everything to one pod, but auth is there, right? So this one has a service called login, and that was what is responding to us there. The rest of them we can talk over, but so that is the service. Then the auth auth, right? So that is the service. And actually, when we upload any video, it will check for the auth credentials. So the upload will be something like this. So the upload is something like this. We have to pass the token, and the root has changed here. If you see, the upload is the root now. I'm giving this token I got above. Token. Actually, it will upload if okay. I've had to restart this a lot. This sometimes. So anyway, as that we can get that. So the RabbitMQ, what it did earlier when I tried to upload. So if you see, it created a lot of videos that were converted to MP3s. And the MP3 consumer will convert the video file. This is the video file right here. So earlier we gave it a video file here. This is the video file that is there in this folder. So this video file will get converted to MP3, and that is how this converter is supposed to work. So see. So, see all the namespaces. Our gateway is back up running from server. So maybe we can give it a try. It's okay. If it won't work, it's already worked earlier. So yes, so this is the success. So now if we go back to our RabbitMQ, there were 4, right? So now it will be 5. So one is, so yeah, the video got uploaded, that is the queue. And then finally it got converted to MP3 and it is there. If we go back to our image, it went to the queue, the video queue, and the video queue went to the converter, and then MP3, it said, okay, it consumed it, and then MP3, it wrote the file to our MongoDB. This is the Mongo. And it wrote back to this RabbitMQ on the video queue. Okay. So, no, sorry, MP3 queue, sorry, MP3. And that's why now this has MP3 queue. When that is consumed by the notification service, it will send an email to the user using Google's SMTP. That's the whole logic. So this is the RabbitMQ, right? So what happens is, yeah, so for individually, these are the sort of commands that I ran. So if you see, the converter has a Docker file. And if you go back up, if you do ls, the auth has another Docker file. The auth has another Docker file, the auth service. And if you go back up and go into gateway, right, that is another, there is another Docker file. All these 3 get pushed to this way. If you go to hub.docker.com, this is my own personal hub, but public repos. If you go back here, we'll have the converter image, a gateway image, and an auth image. So those are the images that here we are seeing: a gateway image, and also a notification image, converter image, and an auth image here. So all these are images, and they're all microservices, and we can deploy them to multiple pods, and then use selectors to map them to deployments, stateful sets. For example, the MongoDB is deployed in a stateful set with persistent volume claims, and RabbitMQ is deployed within the cluster as well. And these are all microservice apps that are talking to each other. This is AuthDB is the MySQL. So that's the whole flow of the application, and the commands are something like this, right? You say inside the gateway, you'll say docker build. So then it will build the gateway. It will build auth if you go into auth folder, and if you do that. And once you have built it, then the next step is to say docker tag with my username, and then this is the gateway service, right? So gateway is latest image. And as soon as you do this, it will tag it, and next you will say docker push username, gateway, and latest. So it will get pushed. But right now there is no changes, and Docker is all step by step. It will do a lot of optimization. If you go to gateway, so the manifests are there in individual folders. Manifest for calling it app. So all the YAML files, and ultimately, so persistent volume claims, secrets, and config maps are all declared for the Rabbit. And Mongo also have declared service, stateful set, and config maps for usernames and passwords. And ultimately, these are all the Flask microservices. It uses Flask, right? So this is one root, this is one root, and if you go here, there is validate for JWT and login URL. And ultimately, what happens is, so the Docker gets pushed, and then if you look at this auth deploy, it's getting the auth image, if you look at the converter deploy, it's getting the converter image from my Docker. And if you look at the gateway, it's getting the gateway image from my username, the latest. And so that's the, if we, and then to debug, of course, I have been doing like a lot of, for example, I will go here. Let's say there is some problem with the auth. Then I will say exec it. Okay. That terminal. And then bin bash I will open. We are inside the pod, auth pod. So here we can see env. Then we can see so RabbitMQ, MySQL password, all these envs are declared, and then if we can also come back out and the same similarly we can say offset and all. That has helped a lot to understand the communication between the auth, um, the auth service, the auth and how gateway is communicating with RabbitMQ and all. And one thing I forgot is if we look at so in because this is all working on the main. So if you look at this domain name, it's working on RabbitMQ Manager. And also earlier when I uploaded the file, I have used, if you noticed, I've used this mp3converter.com because in my etc folder that I have changed the local host to use the domain name. And even getting my token, I have used mp3converter.com /login -u ravi@email.com. So all that is working because I have enabled tunneling in Minikube. All Minikube application running mp3 from video and the RabbitMQ queue system. It will upload and there are multiple apps monitoring, and ultimately all these apps are available to the without using port forwarding. This is Minikube add-ons enable the Ingress controller, and in gateway will also have Ingress declared. So it is using NGINX Ingress controller and then Minikube tunnel. Because of that, it is using tunnels for RabbitMQ gateway, and the app is working. RabbitMQ is working. So ultimately, it is getting uploaded, and then as you can see, it is getting reflected here. And then notification service will consume this MP3 and send an email. So if you uploaded some video of you going to some OT or some foreign country, then you convert it to MP3, this will become 6. Then you want to download it, this RabbitMQ will store it and it gets consumed by our notification service, and it will shoot an email consuming these when the file is ready. So this is asynchronous processing using RabbitMQ, Kubernetes, Docker, tunneling, Minikube, and all of these converters, MongoDB for writing the files. So it writes in MongoDB all the and notification. So